Welcome to the world of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy the listening. A blinding flash of light pierced Dylan's eyelids, jolting him awake. His head throbbed, and the taste in his mouth reminded him of that time he'd accidentally swallowed a mouthful of battery, acid-flavored mouthwash. He groaned, trying to piece together where he was and how he'd gotten there. The first thing Dylan noticed was that he definitely wasn't in his cramped Seattle apartment. Instead of his usual view of brick walls and fire escapes, he found himself surrounded by softly pulsing lights and bizarre instruments that looked like they belonged in a sci-fi movie. Panic rose in his chest as he realized he was lying on some sort of control panel in what appeared to be a spaceship. What the few... Dylan's expletive was cut short as he became aware of a warm body pressed against his side. He turned his head slowly, his eyes widening as they fell upon the most breathtakingly beautiful woman he'd ever seen. Her skin was a mesmerizing shade of cerulean blue. The woman stirred, her eyes fluttering open to meet his. A smile spread across her face, revealing perfect white teeth that contrasted starkly with her blue skin. "Good morning, my love," she purred in a melodic voice that sent shivers down Dylan's spine. Dylan scrambled backwards, nearly falling off the control panel in his haste. What, where am I?" he sputtered, his voice cracking embarrassingly. The blue woman sat up gracefully, concern evident in her otherworldly eyes. "Dylan, are you all right? It's me, newbie. Don't you remember last night?" Dylan's mind raced. Last night? What had happened last night? He closed his eyes, trying desperately to recall anything beyond the pounding in his skull. Flashes of memory began to surface. A neon-lit bar, the taste of something fruity and electric on his tongue, and this woman, Newbie, moving in a way that defied gravity and logic. We met at a bar? Dylan ventured hesitantly. Newbie nodded, her silver hair catching the light in a way that momentarily distracted Dylan from his rising panic. "Yes, at the intergalactic oasis on Mars Station. You were quite charming, especially after your third quantum quasar cocktail." Dylan's jaw dropped. "Mars Station? But that's impossible. I've never even left Earth." Newbie's musical laughter filled the small space. "Oh, Dylan, you're such a tease. Of course you've left Earth. How else would you have ended up on Mars Station? Unless..." She narrowed her eyes playfully. "Did you stow away on a cargo ship again?" "Again?" Dylan squeaked. He shook his head vigorously, immediately regretting it as the motion intensified his headache. No. This has to be a dream. Or maybe I'm hallucinating. Did someone slip something into my drink at O'Malley's last night?" Newbie's expression softened. She reached out, her cool blue hand cupping Dylan's cheek. The touch felt far too real to be a hallucination. "My dear, I assure you this is no dream. Though, I must admit, our whirlwind romance has felt like one." Dylan's heart rate, which had just begun to slow, skyrocketed again. "Romance? What do you mean, romance?" Newbie's silver eyes sparkled with joy. "Why, our marriage, of course. According to the ancient traditions of my home planet Zenturia, we are now husband and wife." Dylan felt the blood drain from his face. "Married? But we just met. And I'm pretty sure interspecies marriage isn't legal on Earth." "Oh, Earth laws don't apply here, silly," Newbie giggled. "And it's not just a marriage. There's more." Dylan swallowed hard. More. What could possibly be more than waking up married to an alien? Newbie's hand moved from his cheek to rest on her flat stomach. "We're going to be parents!" The world spun around Dylan. He gripped the edge of the control panel, fighting the urge to faint or vomit or both. "Parents? But how? We just met last night." "Zenturian metabolism is much faster than human metabolism," Newbie explained patiently. Our gestation period is only a few days. Dylan's mind reeled, unable to process the information being thrown at him. He was married to an alien and about to be a father, all in the span of what, 12 hours? I need air, he gasped, looking around frantically for an exit. Newbie's brow furrowed in concern. I'm afraid that's not possible at the moment, darling. We're currently traveling through deep space on our way to Zenturia. Dylan's eyes bulged. Deep space? Zenturia? Where exactly are we going? To meet my parents, of course. Newbie clapped her hands excitedly. They'll be thrilled to meet their new son-in-law and the father of their grandchild. Dylan felt his chest constrict. Your parents? But I can't. I don't even know how to talk to human parents, let alone alien ones. Newbie waved her hand dismissively. Oh, don't worry. They're going to love you, although... She paused, tapping her chin thoughtfully. You might want to brush up on Zenturian customs before we arrive. My father can be a bit... traditional. Dylan's head was spinning. He needed answers, and he needed them now. Taking a deep breath, he tried to organize his thoughts. Okay, let's back up a second. You said we met at a bar on Mars Station. How did I even get there? The last thing I remember is coding at my apartment in Seattle. Newbie tilted her head, her silver eyes filled with curiosity. You mean you truly don't remember? Fascinating. Perhaps the quantum quasars affected your memory more severely than I thought. She leaned in, studying Dylan's face intently. What's the last thing you do remember clearly? Dylan closed his eyes, concentrating. I was working late on a new app. I remember getting frustrated because the code wasn't compiling properly. I decided to take a break and go for a walk to clear my head. I left my apartment and then... nothing. Just flashes of that bar you mentioned. Newbie nodded, her expression thoughtful. Interesting. It seems you've experienced some sort of temporal displacement. It's rare, but not unheard of. Sometimes when humans first encounter advanced alien technology, their brains have trouble processing the experience. It can result in memory gaps or false memories. Dylan blinked, trying to wrap his head around what she was saying. So, you're telling me I somehow ended up on Mars, met you, got married, and am now expecting a child, all without remembering how I got there in the first place? Essentially, yes, Newbie confirmed, though I assure you, our connection was instant and profound. You were quite eloquent about your feelings, especially after that passionate kiss under the 3 moons of Phobos. Despite his confusion and panic, Dylan felt a blush creep up his neck. We kissed? Newbie's laugh was like tinkling bells. Oh, we did much more than that, my dear husband. But perhaps those memories will return in time. Dylan's blush deepened. He cleared his throat, trying to regain some semblance of composure. Right. So, you mentioned you're a xenobiologist? Newbie's face lit up. Yes. I study life forms from different planets. It's fascinating work. In fact, that's part of why I was so drawn to you. Humans are a relatively new species in the galactic community, and your adaptability is quite remarkable. Wait, Dylan interrupted, a new wave of confusion washing over him. Humans are part of a galactic community? Since when? Newbie's brow furrowed. For about a decade now. Don't you remember the first contact event? It was all over your Earth news networks. Dylan shook his head. I think I would remember if aliens had made contact with Earth. Curious, Newbie mused. It seems your memory loss extends further than I initially thought. Perhaps we should run some tests when we reach Zenturia. My colleague in the medical division might be able to help restore your memories. Dylan nodded weakly, feeling overwhelmed by the flood of information. He looked around the small cockpit, taking in the alien technology surrounding him. "So, this is your ship?" Newbie beamed with pride. "Yes, she's a Stellar Streaker 3000, top of the line for interstellar travel. I call her the Cosmic Caribou." Despite his confusion and anxiety, Dylan couldn't help but smile at the name. Cosmic Caribou? That's actually pretty cute. Newbie's eyes sparkled. "I'm glad you like it. I chose it because of an Earth animal documentary I watched. Caribou are known for their incredible migrations, traveling vast distances across challenging terrain. I thought it was a fitting name for a ship that traverses the cosmos." As they talked, Dylan found himself relaxing slightly. Newbie's enthusiasm was infectious, and despite the bizarreness of the situation, he couldn't deny that she was captivating. Her knowledge and passion for her work were evident, and he found himself genuinely interested in learning more. "So, tell me more about Zenturia," Dylan prompted, figuring he might as well try to prepare for whatever awaited him on this alien world. Newbie's face lit up. "Oh, it's beautiful. The oceans are a deep violet and the cities, they float. Can you imagine entire metropolises suspended in the air?" Dylan's eyes widened. "Floating cities? How is that even possible?" "Anti-gravity technology," Newbie explained. "It's quite common on Zenturia. We've harnessed the power of our planet's unique magnetic fields to create sustainable, eco-friendly urban environments." As Newbie continued to describe her homeworld, Dylan found himself becoming more and more intrigued. Despite the shock of his situation, a small part of him couldn't help but feel excited at the prospect of seeing such wonders. Their conversation was interrupted by a soft beeping from the control panel. Newbie turned to check the readout, her expression brightening. "Oh, wonderful! We're approaching Zenturia now. Come, you must see this." She took Dylan's hand, guiding him to the front viewport. As they watched, a swirling mass of purples and blues came into view, growing larger by the second. Dylan's breath caught in his throat as the planet Zenturia revealed itself in all its alien glory. True to Newbie's description, vast violet oceans covered much of the planet's surface. But what truly took Dylan's breath away were the cities, massive structures that seemed to defy gravity, floating serenely above the planet's surface. Glittering spires reached towards the stars, while bridges of light connected the various floating sectors. It's incredible," Dylan breathed, momentarily forgetting his anxiety in the face of such beauty. Newbie squeezed his hand, her voice soft with emotion. "Welcome to your new home, my love." As the cosmic caribou began its descent towards the shimmering planet below, Dylan felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. Whatever awaited him on Zenturia, in-laws, parenthood, or interplanetary incidents, he had a feeling his life would never be the same again. The ship entered Zenturia's atmosphere, and Dylan watched in awe as they approached one of the floating cities. The structures seemed even more impossible up close, defying everything he thought he knew about physics and architecture. "We'll be docking at the central spire," Newbie explained, skillfully maneuvering the ship towards a gleaming tower that seemed to stretch endlessly into the sky. "My parents' residence is near the top." Dylan swallowed hard, his nervousness returning full force. "Your parents? What should I expect? I mean, besides the obvious fact that they're, you know, aliens?" Newbie laughed, the sound somehow both reassuring and anxiety-inducing. "Oh, they're quite traditional, as I mentioned. My father, Zorak, can be a bit intense, but my mother, Lyra, is very kind. I'm sure they'll love you once they get to know you." "Right," Dylan muttered, unconvinced. "And how do you think they'll react to suddenly having a human son-in-law and a half-human grandchild on the way?" Newbie's smile faltered slightly. "Well, I'm sure they'll adjust. Eventually." As the ship docked with a soft thud, Dylan took a deep breath, steeling himself for whatever lay ahead. married, expecting, and about to meet his alien in-laws, all in the span of a day. If he survived this, he thought, he could probably handle anything the universe threw at him. Little did he know, the universe was just getting started. As the ship's airlock hissed open, Dylan felt his heart racing. He stepped onto Zenturian soil for the first time, the gravity slightly lighter than Earth's, making him feel uncomfortably buoyant. Newbie gracefully glided beside him, her blue skin shimmering under the alien sun. "Welcome to the Central Spire," Newbie said, gesturing to the impossibly tall structure before them. "My parents' residence is near the top." Dylan gulped, craning his neck to see where the building disappeared into the clouds. "Near the top? How many floors does this thing have?" Newbie laughed, the sound tinkling like wind chimes. "Oh, Dylan, you're so adorably Earth-centric. We don't measure by floors here. The Central Spire is divided into atmospheric layers." Before Dylan could process this information, a sleek, hovering platform approached them. Newbie pulled him onto it, and they began to ascend at a dizzying speed. Dylan clung to the railing, his knuckles white. "Relax, my love," Newbie purred, pressing herself against him. "I'll protect you from any falling incidents." Her hand trailed down his back, making him shiver despite the warmth. As they neared the top, Dylan's anxiety returned full force. The platform slowed, approaching an ornate entrance that seemed to be made of living, pulsating crystal. "Remember," Newbie whispered, "no physical contact with my father. It's considered highly intimate here." Dylan nodded nervously as the doors slid open, revealing a vast, luxurious space that defied earthly architecture. Floating furniture hovered at various levels, and what looked like a miniature galaxy swirled on the ceiling. Two figures stood in the center of the room. One was tall and imposing, with deep blue skin and piercing silver eyes that seemed to bore into Dylan's soul. The other was a striking woman who looked like an older version of Newbie, her curves accentuated by a form-fitting dress that seemed to be made of living starlight. "Mother, father," Newbie said, her voice suddenly formal, "may I present my husband, Dylan of Earth." Dylan stepped forward, automatically extending his hand to Newbie's father. "It's a pleasure to meet you, sir." Newbie grabbed his wrist, yanking it back just as her father's eyes widened in shock. "Dylan, remember what I said about touching?" Dylan's face flushed crimson. "I'm so sorry, I forgot." "Quite all right," Newbie's father said, his voice as cold as deep space. "I am Zorak. This is my wife, Lyra." Lyra stepped forward, her eyes twinkling with amusement. "Welcome, Dylan of Earth. We've heard interesting things about you." Dylan couldn't help but notice the way Lyra's gaze lingered on him, her smile just a touch too warm for a mother-in-law. He shifted uncomfortably. "Please, sit," Zorak said, gesturing to the floating furniture. "We have much to discuss." Dylan cautiously lowered himself onto what looked like a cloud made solid. To his surprise, it was incredibly comfortable. "So," Zorak began, his tone icy, "you've married my daughter after a single night of acquaintance." Newbie intervened quickly. "Father, it was love at first sight. Dylan is wonderful." "I'm sure," Zorak cut her off. "And I suppose this hasty union has nothing to do with the archaic Zenturian marriage laws you've always despised." Dylan's head swam. "Marriage laws? What?" "Oh, don't play coy," Lyra interjected, floating closer to Dylan. Her perfume smelled like stardust and danger. "Newbie has always been rebellious. Marrying an alien? It's the perfect act of defiance." Newbie's face flushed a deeper blue. "Mother, that's not true. I love Dylan." Dylan's mind raced. Had he been used as some sort of interstellar political statement? Zorak's eyes narrowed. "Regardless of your motivations, this union cannot stand. Do you have any idea of the political ramifications?" Political ramifications, Dylan echoed weakly. Lyra leaned in close, her breath hot on Dylan's ear. Oh my, you really don't know anything, do you? How deliciously naive. Newbie shot her mother a warning glare. Dylan, there's something I should have told you earlier. My father, he's not just any centurion. He's the High Chancellor. Dylan felt the blood drain from his face. High Chancellor, as in the leader of your entire planet. Zorak nodded gravely. And as such, I cannot allow this marriage to continue. There are ancient laws prohibiting members of the ruling family from marrying individuals from less developed species. Less developed? Dylan sputtered indignantly. Now wait just a minute. Newbie grabbed his hand, her eyes flashing defiantly. Father, I don't care about your outdated laws. I love Dylan, and I'm carrying his child. We're staying together. A tense silence fell over the room. Zorak's face turned a dangerous shade of indigo, while Lyra's eyes gleamed with what looked suspiciously like approval. You're pregnant? Zorak finally managed to choke out. Newbie nodded, her hand protectively covering her still flat stomach. Yes, and before you ask, it's definitely Dylan's. Dylan's head spun. Less than 24 hours ago, he'd been a single software developer in Seattle. Now he was married to an alien princess, expecting a half-human baby and apparently causing an interplanetary incident. Zorak rose to his full, intimidating height. This is unacceptable. Guards! Suddenly, the room was filled with blue-skinned security personnel, their weapons trained on Dylan and Newbie. Father, no! Newbie cried, positioning herself in front of Dylan. I'm sorry, daughter, Zorak said, his voice heavy. But this marriage must be annulled immediately. The human will be sent back to Earth and will deal with the other issue discreetly. Dylan felt a surge of protectiveness he didn't know he possessed. Now hold on just a minute, he said, standing up to face Zorak. I may not understand all your laws or customs, but I do know this. I care about Newbie, and I'm not abandoning her or our child. Lyra clapped her hands delightedly. Oh, how wonderfully dramatic. It's just like that Earth entertainment. What do you call it? A soap opera? Mother, please, Newbie hissed. She turned to her father, her voice pleading. Father, give us a chance. Dylan is brilliant and kind. He could be an asset to Zenturia. Zorak's expression remained impassive. The law is clear. Guards, escort the human to a holding cell until we can arrange transport back to Earth. As the guards moved in, Dylan's mind raced. He needed to buy time to find a way out of this mess. Suddenly, an idea struck him. Wait, he shouted. What if I could prove that humans aren't less developed, that we have something valuable to offer Zenturia? Zorak paused, his interest piqued despite himself. And how do you propose to do that? Dylan took a deep breath. Give me a chance to learn about Zenturian culture, to contribute something meaningful. If I can prove my worth, will you consider allowing our marriage to stand? Newbie squeezed his hand, her eyes shining with pride and love. Lyra leaned forward, clearly intrigued by this turn of events. Zorak stroked his chin thoughtfully. Interesting proposal, but what could you possibly offer that Zenturia doesn't already have? Dylan thought quickly. Earth perspective, fresh ideas. Sometimes an outsider's view can revolutionize even the most advanced societies. There was a long, tense moment of silence. Finally, Zorak spoke. Very well. You have one Zenturian lunar cycle, equivalent to about 2 Earth weeks, to prove your worth. If you fail, you'll be sent back to Earth and the marriage will be annulled. Newbie threw her arms around Dylan, kissing him passionately. Thank you, Father. You won't regret this. Lyra sidled up to Dylan, her hand brushing his arm. Well, well. It seems you're full of surprises, Earthman. I look forward to seeing what else you can offer. Dylan gulped, trying to ignore the suggestive tone in Lyra's voice and the dangerous glint in Zorak's eyes. As they left the central spire, Dylan's mind whirled with the enormity of the challenge ahead. He had 2 weeks to prove himself worthy of staying on an alien planet with technology beyond his wildest dreams. "Don't worry," Newbie whispered, sensing his anxiety. "I'll help you. We'll find a way to make this work." Dylan nodded, trying to summon confidence he didn't feel. As they boarded a hovering transport to Newbie's apartment, he couldn't shake the feeling that his troubles were only beginning. The next few days were a whirlwind of alien experiences. Newbie took Dylan on a tour of Zenturia's floating cities, each more breathtaking than the last. He marveled at the advanced technology, from personal anti-gravity devices to holographic communication systems that made Earth's smartphones look like stone tablets. But it wasn't all sightseeing. Dylan spent hours each day studying Zenturian culture, history, and science, desperately trying to find a way to prove his worth. Newbie was a patient teacher, but even she couldn't hide her concern as the days ticked by without a breakthrough. To complicate matters, Lyra seemed to pop up at the most inopportune moments, always with a suggestive comment or a accidental touch that left Dylan flustered and Newbie fuming. "Mother, please!" Newbie hissed after Lyra had stumbled into Dylan for the third time that day. "Don't you have your own husband to harass?" Lyra laughed, a sound like tinkling crystals. "Oh, darling, your father is so busy with affairs of state. Besides, I'm just being friendly to our Earthling guest." Dylan cleared his throat awkwardly. Thank you for your hospitality, Lyra, but I really should get back to my studies." As they left Lyra behind, Newbie's face was stormy. "I can't believe her. She's always been flirtatious, but this is too much." Dylan squeezed her hand reassuringly. "Hey, don't worry about it. I'm not interested in anyone but you." Newbie's expression softened and she pulled him in for a kiss that left him breathless. "I know. I just wish we could focus on finding a way to keep you here without all these distractions." But distractions seemed to be the order of the day on Zenturia. Whether it was trying to navigate the complex social hierarchies, avoiding Lyra's advances, or simply figuring out how to eat the strange, levitating foods without making a fool of himself, Dylan felt constantly off balance. One evening, about a week into his stay, Dylan found himself alone in Newbie's apartment, poring over Zenturian scientific texts. His head ached from trying to understand concepts that seemed to defy the laws of physics as he knew them. A soft chime announced a visitor. Expecting Newbie, Dylan called out, "Come in!" To his surprise, it was Zorak who entered, his imposing figure filling the doorway. Dylan jumped to his feet, nearly knocking over a floating lamp in the process. "Hi, Chancellor! Sir! What can I do for you?" Zorak's silver eyes surveyed the room, taking in the scattered data pads and holographic displays. "I came to see how your education is progressing." Dylan ran a hand through his hair nervously. "It's challenging, but fascinating. The advancements you've made in quantum mechanics alone are mind-boggling." Zorak nodded, his expression unreadable. "And have you found anything to justify your continued presence on our world?" Dylan's heart sank. "Not yet," he admitted, "but I'm working on it. There has to be something I can contribute." Zorak's gaze softened slightly. "You know, when I first met Lyra's father, he was equally unimpressed with me." Dylan blinked in surprise. "Really?" Zorak nodded, a ghost of a smile playing on his lips. "I was from a lower atmospheric layer. He thought I wasn't good enough for his daughter, but I proved him wrong." "How?" Dylan asked eagerly. Zorak's expression turned serious again. "By showing him that my love for Lyra was stronger than any social barrier, and by working tirelessly to better myself and my position. He fixed Dylan with a penetrating stare. The question is, Earthman, are you willing to do the same for my daughter? Before Dylan could respond, the door chimed again. This time, it was Newbie who entered, her eyes widening at the sight of her father. Father, what are you doing here? Zorak straightened, his formal demeanor returning. Just checking on our guest's progress. I'll leave you two now. As he passed Newbie, he paused. Remember, daughter, the lunar cycle is half over. Time is running out. After Zorak left, Newbie rushed to Dylan, her eyes searching his face. Are you all right? What did he say to you? Dylan pulled her close, burying his face in her silky hair. He gave me something to think about. Newbie, I promise you, I'm going to find a way to make this work. I can't bear the thought of losing you. Newbie's arms tightened around him. We'll figure it out together. I have faith in you, Dylan. As they stood there, holding each other in the glow of Zenturia's 3 moons, Dylan felt a renewed sense of determination. He had 1 week left to prove himself worthy of staying on this incredible world with the woman he loved. Little did he know, events were about to unfold that would test their love and the fate of 2 worlds in ways he could never have imagined. As the final days of Dylan's probationary period on Zenturia ticked away, the tension in the air grew thick enough to cut with a laser scalpel. Dylan threw himself into his studies with renewed vigor, determined to find some way to prove his worth to Zorak and the Zenturian people. On the eve of his deadline, Dylan paced nervously in Newbie's apartment, running his hands through his disheveled hair. I've got nothing, he groaned. Absolutely nothing that could convince your father I'm worthy of staying here. Newbie watched him with concern, her silver eyes following his agitated movements. Dylan, my love, calm down. We'll figure something out. Just then the door chimed. Dylan's heart leapt into his throat, expecting Zorak or his guards. Instead, Lyra glided in, her form-fitting dress shimmering like liquid starlight. Oh my, she purred, eyeing Dylan's disheveled state. Have I interrupted something intimate? Newbie rolled her eyes. Mother, please, we're trying to prepare for tomorrow's council meeting. Lyra waved a dismissive hand. Oh, that dreary affair. I have a much better idea. She sidled up to Dylan, her perfume enveloping him like a nebula. Why don't you and I have a private, cultural exchange? I could teach you things about Zenturia that newbies never even dreamed of. Dylan backed away, bumping into a floating end table. Thank you, Lyra, but I really need to focus on— Mother! Newbie snapped, her skin flushing a deeper blue. That's enough. Dylan isn't interested in your lessons. Lyra's laughter tinkled like wind chimes. Can you blame a woman for trying? He is quite exotic. Before the situation could escalate further, a holographic message materialized in the center of the room. Zorak's stern face appeared, causing Dylan's stomach to drop. The council has convened early, Zorak announced. Your presence is required immediately. The image vanished, leaving a stunned silence in its wake. But I'm not ready, Dylan sputtered. Newbie grabbed his hand, her grip reassuring. It doesn't matter. We'll face this together. Even Lyra's flirtatious demeanor had sobered. Good luck, you two. You're going to need it. The journey to the council chambers was a blur. Dylan's mind raced, trying to come up with something, anything, that could convince the Zenturians to let him stay. Before he knew it, he was standing before the imposing semicircle of blue-skinned dignitaries, their silver eyes boring into him. Zorak stood, his voice echoing in the cavernous room. Dylan of Earth, your time has expired. Have you found a way to prove your worth to Zenturia? Dylan swallowed hard, his mouth dry. He looked at Newbie, saw the love and faith in her eyes, and suddenly knew what he had to do. Taking a deep breath, he began to speak, in halting but recognizable Zenturian. A collective gasp rippled through the chamber. Even Zorak's eyes widened in surprise. "Honored council," Dylan said, his tongue stumbling over the unfamiliar syllables. "I stand before you not just as a human, but as a man in love. A man who has glimpsed the wonders of your world and wants nothing more than to be a part of it." He paused, gathering his courage. "I may not have advanced technology to offer or groundbreaking scientific discoveries, but what I do have is a unique perspective, a bridge between two worlds that could lead to unprecedented cooperation and growth." Dylan's confidence grew as he spoke, his words becoming more fluid. "Think of the possibilities. Earth's creativity and adaptability combined with Zenturian technology and wisdom. Our child, yes, Newbie and I are expecting, could be a living symbol of this unity, a new generation that brings the best of both worlds together." He turned to Newbie, his eyes shining. "Love knows no boundaries, not of species, not of planets, not of galaxies. It's the most powerful force in the universe, capable of overcoming any obstacle. And my love for Newbie, for the life we've created together, is strong enough to span the stars themselves." As Dylan finished, silence fell over the chamber. Then, to everyone's surprise, Newbie stepped forward. Her voice rang out clear and strong. "Esteemed council, if I may add to my husband's words." She placed a hand on her stomach. "As a xenobiologist, I can attest to the potential benefits of our union. The genetic diversity resulting from human and Zenturian DNA could lead to offspring with unprecedented abilities, abilities that could greatly benefit our world." She launched into a detailed explanation of genetic theory, intermixing complex Zenturian concepts with Earth analogies in a way that left the council members nodding thoughtfully. As Newbie concluded her impromptu lecture, murmurs of discussion broke out among the council. Zorak raised a hand for silence, his expression unreadable. "You've given us much to consider," he said. "The council will deliberate. Please wait outside." As Dylan and Newbie were ushered out, Lyra appeared, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "Oh, that was simply thrilling. Dylan, darling, I had no idea you were learning our language. How stimulating." Newbie shot her mother a warning glare. "Mother, now is not the time." Hours passed, feeling like an eternity. Dylan paced the waiting area, alternating between hope and despair. Newbie tried to calm him, but her own anxiety was palpable. Finally, they were called back in. The council members sat impassively, giving nothing away. Zorak stood, his voice solemn. "Dylan of Earth, Newbie of Zenturia, we have reached a decision." Dylan held his breath, gripping Newbie's hand tightly. "Your arguments have merit," Zorak continued. "The potential benefits of a cultural exchange between Earth and Zenturia cannot be ignored. Moreover, the genetic implications of your offspring are intriguing." He paused, building the tension. "Therefore, the Council has decided to amend our laws. Your marriage will be recognized as legal and binding. Furthermore, your child will be granted the status of Special Ambassador, a living bridge between our worlds." Joy exploded in Dylan's chest. He turned to Newbie, seeing his own elation mirrored in her silver eyes. Without thinking, he pulled her into a passionate kiss, forgetting for a moment where they were. A pointed cough from Zorak brought them back to reality. Dylan pulled away, blushing furiously. "Sorry, sir. Thank you. Thank you all." Zorak's stern expression softened slightly. "Don't make me regret this decision, Earthman. You have much to learn about our ways." "I won't let you down, sir," Dylan promised fervently. As they left the council chambers, Lyra swooped in, enveloping them both in a perfumed embrace. "Oh, how wonderful! We simply must celebrate. I'll arrange a party that will be the talk of all atmospheric layers." Newbie groaned. "Mother, please, we just want some time alone to process all this." Lyra winked suggestively. "Of course, darling. Processing is very important, especially the physical kind." "Mother." As Lyra sashayed away, already dictating party plans into her communicator, Dylan turned to Newbie. "Is she always like that?" Newbie sighed, but a smile played on her lips. "Always, but she means well, most of the time." As Dylan and Newbie basked in the afterglow of their victory before the Centurion Council, a lingering question suddenly resurfaced in Dylan's mind. "Newbie," he said, turning to face her, "there's still something I don't understand. Why couldn't I remember anything about how I got to Mars Station in the first place?" Newbie's expression turned serious. "I was wondering when you'd ask about that. The truth is, Dylan, your memory loss wasn't just from the quantum quasar cocktails." She took a deep breath before continuing. "Earth has been part of the galactic community for a decade now, but the knowledge isn't widespread. Only a select few humans are chosen to venture beyond Earth, and their memories are altered to protect the secret until the time is right for full disclosure." Dylan's eyes widened in shock. "So, I was chosen? But why me?" Newbie smiled softly. "Your work in AI and quantum computing caught the attention of the Intergalactic Council. They believed you had potential to contribute to advanced alien technologies. You were brought to Mars Station as part of a cultural exchange program. But then I met you, and everything changed," Dylan realized, the pieces finally falling into place. Newbie nodded. "The memory alteration was supposed to wear off gradually, allowing you to acclimate to your new reality, but our unexpected union accelerated the process." Dylan sat down heavily, his mind reeling. "So, all those years of feeling like I didn't quite fit in on Earth were because you were always meant for something more," Newbie finished, taking his hand. "You were meant to be a bridge between worlds, Dylan. And now, with our child, you truly are." As the implications sank in, Dylan felt a mix of emotions: shock, wonder, and a strange sense of relief. Finally, everything made sense. He wasn't just a random human thrust into an alien world. He had been chosen, prepared for this role without even knowing it. "Well," he said finally, a smile tugging at his lips, "I guess that explains my unusual aptitude for learning Centurion. And here I thought it was just my natural linguistic genius." Newbie laughed, the tension breaking. "Oh, my love, your natural genius is going to have its hands full with our little ambassador." They made their way to a balcony overlooking the shimmering expanse of Zenturia. The three suns were setting, painting the sky in a riot of colors Dylan had never seen on Earth. Newbie leaned into him, her hand resting on her stomach. "Can you believe it? We did it." Dylan wrapped his arm around her, marveling at how right it felt. "We did. Though I have to admit, I'm a little terrified about what comes next. I mean, raising an alien baby? Being a cultural ambassador? It's a lot to take in." Newbie laughed, the sound like music to his ears. "Oh, Dylan, after everything we've been through, do you really think a little thing like interspecies parenting is going to scare us?" Dylan grinned, feeling a surge of confidence. "You know what? You're right. In fact, I think we might have stumbled onto a brilliant business idea." Newbie raised an eyebrow. "Oh? Do tell." "Well," Dylan said, his grin widening, "I'm thinking we should open an intergalactic matchmaking service. Cosmic connections, bringing worlds together. We clearly have a talent for it." Newbie burst out laughing, her joy infectious. "Oh, my love, what have I gotten myself into?" As they stood there, basking in the alien sunset and the warmth of their love, Dylan felt a sense of peace wash over him. Sure, the road ahead would be challenging. There would be cultural misunderstandings, family drama, especially with Lyra around, and the small matter of raising a half-human, half-Zenturian child. But as he looked at Newbie, saw the love and adventure sparkling in her silver eyes, he knew that together they could handle anything the universe threw at them. You know, Dylan said thoughtfully, when I woke up on your spaceship that first morning, I thought my life was over. Turns out, it was just beginning. Newbie kissed him softly. Our adventure is just starting, my love. Are you ready? Dylan pulled her close, feeling the slight swell of her stomach against him. Their child, their future, growing within. With you, I'm ready for anything. As the last rays of Zenturia's suns dipped below the horizon, Dylan and Newbie stood entwined, two beings from different worlds united by love. The stars above twinkled with promise, each one a potential new adventure waiting to be explored. Little did they know, their greatest challenge and their greatest joy was growing stronger every day, preparing to enter a universe that had never seen anything quite like it before. Epilogue. 6 months later, Dylan stood in the delivery room of Zenturia's most advanced medical facility, his hand being crushed by Newbie's surprisingly strong grip. The doctors bustled around them, a mix of excitement and apprehension on their blue faces. "You're doing great, honey," Dylan encouraged, trying to ignore the strange beeping and pulsing of alien medical equipment. Newbie's silver eyes locked onto his, a mix of pain and determination in their depths. "When this is over," she panted, "I'm going to kill you for doing this to me." Dylan gulped. I'm pretty sure you were an enthusiastic participant in the process." Before Newbie could retort, a final contraction hit. The room filled with a blinding light and then silence. Slowly, the light faded. The head doctor approached, cradling a small bundle. "Congratulations," she said, her voice filled with awe. Well, we're not quite sure what it is, but it's healthy." She placed the baby in Newbie's arms. Dylan leaned in, his heart pounding. The child blinked up at them with eyes that shifted color like a kaleidoscope. Its skin was a soft lavender with swirling patterns that seemed to move of their own accord. "Oh," Newbie breathed, all thoughts of murder forgotten. "Dylan, look at her. She's perfect." Dylan nodded, too choked up to speak. He reached out, gently touching his daughter's cheek. To his amazement, her skin changed color at his touch, mimicking his own tone before fading back to lavender. A commotion at the door drew their attention. Zorak burst in, looking uncharacteristically disheveled. "Is it true? Is the child here? Is it—" He stopped short at the sight of the baby, his silver eyes widening. "By the 3 moons," he whispered. Lyra glided in behind him, for once at a loss for words. She simply stared at her granddaughter, tears shimmering in her eyes. Zorak cleared his throat, composing himself. "The council will want to see her immediately. We must begin preparations for her role as special ambassador." "Father," Newbie said firmly, "the only thing this child needs to prepare for right now is a nap. The galaxy can wait." To everyone's surprise, Zorak's stern facade cracked. A smile, an actual, genuine smile, spread across his face. "Of course, my dear. Family first." As the new grandparents cooed over the baby, marveling at her ever-changing eyes and shimmering skin, Dylan felt a wave of emotion wash over him. This was his family now. Alien, complicated, occasionally infuriating, but undeniably his. Newbie looked up at him, her eyes shining with love and exhaustion. "So, Mr. Intergalactic Matchmaker, what's our next adventure?" Dylan grinned, leaning down to kiss her forehead. "Well, Mrs. Intergalactic Matchmaker, I think we've got our hands full with this little ambassador for a while. But after that, The universe is our oyster, or whatever the Centurion equivalent of an oyster is. Newbie laughed, the sound mingling with their daughter's happy gurgle. As Dylan looked around the room at his beautiful alien wife, their miraculous child, and the in-laws he never could have imagined, he knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. After all, they had already bridged the gap between worlds, raising a half-human, half-Centurion baby with color-changing skin and kaleidoscope eyes. That was just another day in the life of the galaxy's most unlikely family. The adventure, it seemed, was only just beginning. Dear intergalactic eavesdropper, if you've made it this far without your brain imploding from the sheer absurdity of our tale, congratulations. You've just survived the cosmic roller coaster that is Dylan's Guide to Accidental Alien Marriage and Interstellar Parenting. We hope you've enjoyed this journey through the stars, complete with blue in-laws, color-changing babies, and more cultural misunderstandings than you can shake a tentacle at. On behalf of Dylan, Newbie, and their kaleidoscope-eyed bundle of joy, we'd like to extend our heartfelt thanks for tuning in to this transmission. We know you had other options for entertainment, like watching paint dry on Pluto or counting grains of sand on one of Saturn's rings. Your choice to stick with our story is appreciated more than you know. Now, a word of caution. If you're thinking of following in Dylan's footsteps and marrying the next attractive alien you meet at a space bar, maybe reconsider. Not everyone gets lucky enough to end up with a genius xenobiologist and a father-in-law who's only mildly homicidal. Plus, changing diapers in zero gravity is not for the faint of heart. If you're disappointed that this story didn't include more space battles or alien invasions, we apologize. We were too busy navigating the treacherous waters of interspecies relationships and trying to prevent Lyra from accidentally starting a galactic incident with her flirting. Maybe in the sequel? Speaking of sequels, stay tuned for our next exciting installment, Toddlers and Tractor Beams, a survival guide for mixed species families. Learn essential skills like baby-proofing a spaceship, dealing with tantrums that can alter the fabric of space-time, and explaining to your human relatives why little Zorp keeps changing colors at family reunions. Remember, in a universe full of wonders, the greatest adventure is love, even if it comes in a shade of blue you never expected, and with in-laws who occasionally threaten to exile you to a distant moon. Thank you for being part of our cosmic journey. May your own life be filled with as much love, laughter, and only slightly fewer alien misunderstandings. Yours in intergalactic harmony, Dylan, Newbie, and Baby Kaleidoscope P.S. If you happen to run into any of Dylan's ex-girlfriends on Earth, maybe don't mention the whole married to an alien princess thing. Some things are better left unexplained. PPS Lyra insists on adding that she's available for cultural consultations for any interested parties. We apologize in advance.